A magnificent, glowing chandelier hangs from the ceiling of a lavishly decorated room, its light sparkling with an air of wealth and importance. With his back to us, a young man sits on the polished floor of a grand study, surrounded by books and expensive furniture, appearing deep in thought. A weathered, official-looking document spells out a series of grave offenses, concluding with the harsh, final verdict: he is being disowned by his family. Our boy, Ed Rothstaler, leans his head against his hand, the morning sun casting a dramatic light on his face, which is etched with exhaustion and frustration. Now outside the grand estate, Ed Rothstaler sits on the ground beside his luggage, a lonely figure who has just been cast out from his home and life of luxury. From across a courtyard, two students in smart red uniforms watch the scene unfold, their curiosity piqued by the unfolding drama. The two onlookers murmur to each other, their faces hidden in shadow, gossiping about the disgraced noble who was just kicked out of his dormitory. Our boy slumps onto a cold stone bench, his head buried in his hands in despair, his worldly possessions packed into the trunks beside him. Ed Rothstaler clutches his hair, a wave of panic washing over him as he realizes the sheer gravity of his new, terrible circumstances. The scene shifts to a dark room, where the only light comes from the blindingly bright screen of a computer monitor, illuminating a gaming setup. A promotional screen for a video game called Sylvania's Failed Swordmaster is displayed, showcasing a majestic castle under a starry sky and a trophy for Best Game of the Year. Three powerful, confident anime-style heroes pose against a backdrop of swirling galaxies, representing the typical overpowered protagonists of popular stories. A menacing image of Ed Rothstaler appears, his eyes glowing with a sinister purple energy as an official decree brands him disowned. Our boy stands outside, clenching his fists in a burst of outrage, shouting his feelings of injustice at the sky. From a distance, a small group of fellow students points and sneers at him, mocking his outburst and calling him shameless. Viewed from above, our boy seems to shrink on the bench, humiliated by the public ridicule and scorn. Ed Rothstaler glances to the side, letting out a quiet sigh of defeat as he accepts his current predicament. His reflection appears in an ornate mirror, overlaid with a character status screen that reveals his disappointingly low stats in strength and intelligence. The camera zooms in on his stats, emphasizing just how weak he is, with an intelligence score unfit for the magic department and strength lower than a common farmer. A brief, dark flashback from the game shows the original Ed Rothstaler, a cruel, third-rate villain, standing over a fallen enemy. Suddenly, our boy's eyes fly open, wide with a shocking and life-altering realization. An image from the game's end, credits, shows a character who looks just like him, now a homeless beggar, sitting alone in a desolate alleyway. In a bleak, symbolic drawing, our boy sits on the bench as his head cracks and shatters like stone, representing his crumbling future. The camera pans up to the roof of a magnificent building, as if he's sighing and looking up at the sky in despair. With a new sense of purpose, our boy's hand clenches firmly around the handle of his suitcase. Ed Rothstaler rises to his feet, his expression now one of grim determination as he holds his luggage, resolved to survive this ordeal. A stunning vista reveals the entire Sylvania Academy, a massive castle town built on a beautiful island connected to the mainland by a single bridge. The scenery changes to a sun-dappled forest, a quiet, undeveloped area on the outskirts of the academy grounds. Our boy sits on his luggage on a dirt path, looking completely drained after walking for half a day to escape the judging eyes of the other students. With his eyes closed, he takes a moment to fully grasp the situation he has been thrown into. A memory flashes by, showing him sitting alone in the pouring rain just after being kicked out, disowned but not yet expelled from the academy. The proud crest of Sylvania Academy, a shield topped with a crown, is shown in stark white against a black background. the view expands to show the breathtakingly beautiful and sprawling campus of the prestigious academy, a place that guarantees a bright future for its graduates. Glimmering piles of gold coins fill the screen, a powerful visual of the wealth and success that await those who manage to graduate. A hand uses a simple stick to carve the word graduating into the earth, setting his one and only goal. Ed Rothstahler's face is cast in shadow, his eyes glowing with an intense blue light as he confronts the first major obstacle, the Academy's massive tuition fee. Our boy sits on a log, his character's stat sheet floating beside him, questioning if it's even possible to earn a scholarship with such pathetic abilities. He pushes aside his financial worries for a moment, deciding to focus on the most immediate threats to his survival: food, clothing, and shelter. His hand moves to open one of his large trunks, hoping to find something useful inside. The trunk opens to reveal a collection of useless items for survival: fancy clothes, a purely ornamental dagger, and a decorative goblet, none of which offer any real help. Our boy sits in the woods, his useless belongings spread out before him, realizing he has no food and nowhere to sleep for the night. A peaceful shot shows a small, clear stream flowing over smooth rocks, a potential source of water. 10 days left until the new semester begins. Ed Rothstahler stretches his body in the morning light, preparing himself for the hard work of building a shelter from scratch. A brilliant green arc of magical energy slices through the air, felling trees with a powerful wind-slash spell. After casting the spell, our boy trips and falls onto a log, completely exhausted by the effort. He struggles on his hands and knees, panting and sweating profusely, shocked at how quickly he ran out of energy after just a few simple spells. The sound of his stomach growling echoes in the quiet forest, a painful reminder of his hunger. He recalls a childhood memory of his grandfather, who had a strange solution for times when food was scarce. Our boy stares down at a piece of wood, a desperate and questionable idea taking root in his mind. Using a basic fire spell, he begins to cook a piece of tree bark over a small, ornate pot. He holds up the steaming piece of bark on a stick, trying to convince himself that it looks like a tasty piece of chicken. With his mouth wide open, he prepares to take a bite of his makeshift meal. Our boy dips the cooked bark into some water in his goblet, taking a small, tentative bite. The experiment ends in disaster as he immediately gets sick and throws up, his body violently rejecting the wood. A single letter F is carved into wood, a clear sign that his attempt at foraging has been a complete failure. 3 days into his ordeal, Ed Rothstahler looks pale and sick, holding a bundle of branches, having learned that wood is not a food source. He angrily throws the wood to the ground, deciding it should only be used for building materials. Our boy grunts with effort as he shoves a heavy wooden post into the soft earth, starting the frame for his shelter. He trembles with exertion, trying to hold 4 heavy posts upright all by himself. The posts lose their balance and come crashing down, pinning him helplessly to the ground. With a cry of sheer effort, he pushes himself up, refusing to be defeated by a pile of logs. He successfully ties 2 of the posts together at the top, creating a stable base for his shelter. Our boy leans against the finished frame, panting heavily, sweat dripping from his brow, but with a sense of accomplishment. Our boy lays out his fine, noble clothes onto the dirt floor of his shelter, sacrificing them to make a soft place to sleep. The moon shines brightly in the night sky as the sounds of hammering and building continue. The sun rises, its bright rays filtering through the trees, signaling the start of a new day. He sits proudly in front of his completed shelter, a teepee-like structure made of logs and covered in leaves. A sudden flash in his eye signals the appearance of a system notification, just like in the game. A blue screen appears, announcing that his makeshift wooden shelter is complete and his crafting skill has increased. Another screen provides details on his life skills, revealing he's a beginner craftsman with a surprisingly high handicraft level. Our boy sits on the ground, his stomach rumbling loudly as he stares at the crafting notification with a mix of surprise and hunger. A cunning smile spreads across his face as he looks at his reflection in the skill screen, realizing he possesses a hidden talent he never knew about. His stomach growls again, a loud and urgent reminder that his newfound talent can't solve his immediate need for food. Another construction-completed window pops up, indicating he has crafted something new. The notification reveals a makeshift harpoon, cleverly made by tying his decorative dagger to a long, sturdy branch. Ed Rothstaler throws his head back and screams in pure agony and frustration, desperate to eat some real food. Driven by sheer desperation, our boy stands in the stream, his stomach growling, and expertly wields his harpoon. His efforts are rewarded as 2 fish fly through the air, successfully caught on the end of his spear. With a look of intense concentration, he uses his fire magic to cook the fish he just caught. The 2 fish sizzle over a roaring fire, their skin turning a delicious golden brown. Only 1 week remains until classes begin. Our boy opens his mouth wide, about to devour the cooked fish with pure, unadulterated joy. Just as he's about to take a bite, a cascade of shimmering blonde hair enters the frame, belonging to an unexpected visitor. Startled, he looks up from his meal, the fish still in his hands, to see who has found him. A beautiful girl with long blonde hair and golden eyes, dressed in a simple white dress, stands before him, looking down at him with an inquisitive gaze. A dark memory surfaces, showing the original Ed Rothstaler bound and on his knees before 2 imposing guards. The memory shifts to a cold, authoritative young woman with blonde hair and a red military jacket, who was responsible for his capture. The image of Princess Penia flashes on screen, her eyes glowing with anger and power as she confronts him. It is revealed that this powerful princess is the very person who had Ed Rothstaler kicked out of his dorm and stripped of his status. A flashback from the game shows a young hero protecting a woman from the original Ed Rothstaler, who lies beaten on the ground. The original Ed is shown with a twisted, evil grin, plotting revenge by tampering with the hero's entrance exam papers. He is caught in the act by the dark silhouette of a girl whose eyes glow with a menacing red light, causing his face to contort in shock. The girl who caught him is revealed to be Princess Penia, her glowing eyes staring him down with cold fury. A special ability, Insightful Eyes, is activated, symbolized by the scales of justice appearing in the princess's eye, allowing her to see through all lies. The original Ed screams his innocence in a hearing, but Penia's power exposes his deceit. As a result of his actions, Ed is seen hunched over in defeat outside the grand doors of the dormitory, his luggage cast out beside him. A moment of transition passes. Back in the present, Princess Penia confronts our boy in the forest, her face a mask of anger and disbelief. Ed Rothstaler holds his hands up in a placating gesture as the princess leans toward him, demanding to know why he hasn't been expelled yet. Our boy calmly begins to explain his situation to the furious princess. Penia points a finger at him, her voice rising in anger as she declares that she will personally see to it that he is expelled immediately. Behind our boy, the fish he worked so hard to catch begins to burn over the fire, forgotten in the heat of the confrontation. Ed Rothstaler's face twitches in annoyance, realizing that not only is his dinner ruined, but his entire future is now at risk. A close-up on Penia's enraged face emphasizes the very real threat she poses to his place at the academy. As twilight descends on the forest, our boy takes a step toward the princess, his demeanor shifting to one of cool confidence. His face is cast in shadow, one eye glowing with a mysterious blue light, as he questions why a princess would be wandering alone in such a dangerous place. Suddenly, a brilliant blue aura of magic erupts around Penia as she defensively prepares for a perceived threat. In a shocking move, our boy drops to one knee before the princess. With a gentle smile and a hand placed over his heart, Ed Rothstaler tells the baffled princess that he is actually incredibly grateful to her. Pania's insightful eyes activate once more, and she glares at him, trying to see through his apparent deception. To her utter astonishment, a system window confirms that he is telling the absolute truth, causing her to flinch back in confusion. Our boy allows a small, knowing smirk to cross his lips, fully aware that he was being completely honest. A dark, ominous castle looms under a blood-red sky, a sinister, cloaked figure floating before it, representing the wicked history of House Rothstaler. A horrifying image shows countless bodies piled together, a testament to the family's cruel and forbidden human experiments. A guillotine stands starkly against the red sky, a severed head lying at its base, symbolizing the grim fate that awaits the entire Rothstaler family. The scene returns to our boy's campsite, where his once perfectly cooked fish is now a smoldering, inedible piece of charcoal. A moment of clarity arrives. Our boy looks up with a serene and confident expression, understanding that being disowned has saved him from a terrible future. A red-tinted game over screen appears with a cracked lens effect, showing his silhouette, representing the failure that expulsion would bring. Our boy watches the princess walk away through the woods, piecing together the reason for her solo journey. He rises to his feet, a look of understanding on his face as he deduces her secret mission. A quest notification for Professor Glast's class assignment examination appears, depicting a shadowy professor figure manipulating floating magical orbs. Ed Rothstaler contemplates the infamous difficulty of Professor Glast's exams. Princess Pania points at him, angrily dismissing his words as mere flattery. She flinches with surprise as our boy boldly interrupts her threat to have him expelled. He stands close to her, their faces just inches apart, and makes a confident declaration that she will not be able to join the top class without his help. He offers her a challenge. If his words prove false, she should have him expelled. Princess Pania is shown wading through the shallow water of a lake. She stands at the edge of the water, looking towards a lone, majestic tree on a small island in the center of the lake. A radiant golden marble glints brightly from within the roots of the ancient tree. Princess Pania holds the glowing marble, a thoughtful and conflicted look on her face. A flashback shows the original Ed Rothstaler's desperate, lying face during his trial. The scene contrasts this with the current Ed Rothstaler, who knelt before her with a look of genuine sincerity. Princess Pania stands alone under the magical guardian tree, lost in thought. The class assignment examination concludes as the scene shifts to the ornate golden gates of Sylvania Academy. The stern Professor Glast stands before the assembled students, ready to announce their results. A group of students proudly present their findings, a collection of large, bizarre, and vibrantly colored marbles. The hopeful students slump in defeat as the professor coldly informs them that they will all be placed in the lowest ranked class, Class F. Professor Glast reveals the true goal of the exam, holding up 3 small, simple marbles that radiate a low amount of mana. A handsome, sharp-eyed young man named Ziggs is identified as one of the few who passed the test. A charming girl with bright red hair named Lortel is introduced as another successful student. The professor gestures dramatically as he reveals the identity of the third and final student to pass. Princess Pania rises from her seat, having found the high mana marble, and is declared the top of the class. The scene cuts back to our boy sitting by the stream, his burnt fish now resting on a nearby rock as he fiddles with his harpoon. He examines the string on his makeshift fishing rod, trying to repair it for another attempt. Pania Elias Cruel. A flashback shows a young Pania kneeling on a tiled floor, her expression hardened from a life spent discerning truth from lies in the royal court. Her golden, insightful eyes are shown in the darkness, a skill she cultivated through years of experience. A drop of water creates a ripple, symbolizing his decision to give her truthful yet tricky information. The princess is depicted in a heavenly light, representing her future title, the Princess of Benevolence, which she earns through her actions. A scene shows her holding the golden marble, an event that, in the original story, would have placed her in Class A and ruined the plot. The image of the princess shatters like broken glass, symbolizing how this change would destroy the established future. Our boy sits thoughtfully in the woods, holding a long stick, weighing the risk of getting expelled against the disaster of changing the game's story. A vision shows Lucy May Real, the true top student of the class from the original game. Princess Pania walks through a dark void, her face shadowed in uncertainty. She recalls the encounter with our boy, her expression firm as she trusts her ability to always discern the truth. Her mind flashes back to his confident assertion that he was not lying and that there was indeed a marble where he said. Her hand is shown clenching around the golden marble she found. The marble is presented not as a gift, but as a test of her character. The princess stands by the guardian tree, remembering her motivation for hiding her identity during the entrance exam. The golden marble is shown again, nestled in the roots of the tree, a prize she knows she cannot take. With her head bowed in quiet resolution, Princess Pania stands by the water, having chosen her own path. She's shown walking through the academy halls as other students celebrate Lucy's success in the background. The scene flashes back to our boy's confident challenge to the princess. Pania stands alone in a grand, empty hallway, reflecting on the events. In a burst of frustration, she punches a wall, angry that she couldn't prove him wrong on her own terms. A single drop of water splashes into a pool, signifying that the outcome is now set. Princess Pania is shown in the shadows, her eyes glowing with frustration, realizing that because he told the truth, she is powerless to act against him. A fishing line is suddenly pulled taut, whipping water through the air. Our boy lets out a triumphant shout as he successfully catches a large, sparkling fish on his line. The sun begins to rise over the tranquil hills surrounding the academy. Now dressed in his red school uniform, our boy runs at top speed from his forest shelter to make it to school on time. He gasps for breath, sweat dripping from his face as he pushes himself to his limit. He arrives at the academy grounds, breathless but successful. Ed Rothstaler stands before the stunning Sylvania Academy, pink cherry blossom petals gently falling around him as he returns for the new semester. Inside a large assembly hall, students are gathered for the opening ceremony and a welcome meal. Other students whisper and glare at our boy, shocked that he would dare to show his face after the scandal. Ignoring the judgmental stares, he calmly cuts into a perfectly cooked steak, ready to enjoy the spoils of his victory. He savors a bite of his meal, surrounded by stacks of empty plates, as the whispers about him continue. A group of female students gossip about him, noting that while he looks different up close, he is certainly eating a lot. The girls decide to leave for the dessert table, uninterested in the drama surrounding him. One girl with long braided hair glances back at our boy with a curious and contemplative look. A final close-up shows her thoughtful expression as she quietly hopes that he has become a completely different person. A system window displays the details of our boy's newly acquired combat skills, showing he is a combat beginner with a level 1 bow proficiency. The grand and sprawling campus of Sylvania Academy is shown under a bright, clear sky on the day of the opening ceremony. Inside a vast lecture hall, hundreds of students in their red uniforms are seated, listening to an address from a figure at the front. On the very first day of the new semester, the scene focuses on the polished wooden door of the dean's office. Our boy stands nervously outside the intimidating door, looking pale and anxious as he recalls being summoned. He thinks back to his meeting with the smiling, monocled dean, relieved that Princess Pania didn't say anything bad about him. A close-up shows his mouth as he lets out a quiet sigh of relief, realizing he narrowly avoided disaster. His expression hardens with a new resolve, understanding he must be extremely careful not to stray from the game's plot. In the quiet of the forest, an unsuspecting white rabbit stands alert, its ears twitching. In a flash, an arrow strikes the rabbit, felling it instantly, a testament to his developing survival skills. Our boy sits in the forest, the rabbit slung over his shoulder and his bow in hand, looking thoughtful as he plans his next steps. His eyes suddenly widen in surprise as he senses an unexpected presence nearby. In the distance, a girl with long, flowing pink hair is seen standing near the guardian tree by the lake. A title card introduces the girl as Yennecar Palarover, the top student of the second year and a genius elementalist. A dramatic close-up focuses on Yennecar's piercing red eyes, which seem to hold a deep and ancient power. Our boy stands with a bewildered expression, completely caught off guard by her appearance. In the blink of an eye, Yennecar appears directly in front of him, her cheerful face taking him by surprise. She smiles warmly at him, her friendly demeanor a stark contrast to his own social awkwardness. Yennecar explains that the forest is protected by a high-ranking spirit named Marilda, who has told her all about the new resident. Our boy holds up the dead rabbit, looking utterly perplexed and slightly embarrassed, while Yennecar laughs cheerfully beside him. He sheepishly admits to himself that he has probably been an unwelcome guest, having hunted and cut down trees in the spirit's domain. Yennecar reassures the worried Ed Rothstaler, telling him that hunting is a natural part of life and the spirit doesn't mind. Our boy scratches the back of his head, blushing slightly as he tries to process the strange and forgiving nature of the forest's guardian. Yennecar gazes at him with a curious and gentle expression, intrigued by the boy the spirit spoke of. She lets out a bright, cheerful laugh, her friendly nature putting him slightly at ease. Yennecar extends her hands, which begin to glow with a soft, ethereal light as she reveals the spirit she made a contract with. She offers for him to hold the spirit, but our boy hesitates, his face a mask of uncertainty. His pensive profile is shown as he considers how to handle this unexpected development without altering the plot. He looks down at her hands and then back at her, feigning ignorance about what she is showing him. Yennecar's profile is shown, her eyes wide with shock and disbelief at his response. Our boy turns away, announcing that he needs to go forage for food as an excuse to leave. Ed Rothstaler's face is set with determination as he reminds himself to stick to the original game's story. A sinister image of Yennecar appears, wreathed in dark purple flames, a stark reminder of her crucial and dangerous role in the game's future. Our boy walks away down a forest path, leaving a pensive Yennecar behind. She tilts her head, her expression unreadable as she watches him depart. The scene flashes back to the moment our boy blushed, a clear sign of his social awkwardness. Yennecar's hand is gently touched by an ethereal, glowing form, the spirit, Marilda, making its presence known. She stands with her powerful spirit companions, a majestic, glowing white wolf and a tiny, cute bat-like creature. With a huff, she playfully falls backward into the soft, comforting fur of the giant spirit wolf. She rests against the wolf, a thoughtful and slightly mischievous look on her face as she considers the boy she just met. The scene shows a wide, peaceful view of the lake and the guardian tree, a place of great spiritual power. A hand-drawn map illustrates the significant distance between our boy's makeshift shelter in the mountains and the academy down below. He is shown running tirelessly through the woods at dawn, his red school jacket slung over his shoulder, the daily commute a grueling workout. In a classroom, our boy hunches over a stone slab, diligently scratching notes with a wooden poker, determined to earn a scholarship. By the stream in the evening, he is seen scrubbing his sweat-stained uniform on a washboard, his only set of clothes. Back at his camp, he takes inventory of his meager supplies, wondering if some of his jerky has gone missing, unaware of a small figure spying on him. A close-up shows sweat dripping from his face, his expression one of pure exhaustion and unwavering determination. He finally confronts the stalker, whipping around to find the small, red-ribboned girl hiding behind a bush. Our boy shouts in frustration at the startled girl, who is shocked to have been discovered. With his eyes glowing a menacing purple, he angrily demands to know why she keeps following him, trying to scare her off by acting like the villain everyone thinks he is. His intense gaze is fixed on her, but his threatening demeanor begins to waver. Yennecar simply offers him a gentle, unwavering smile, completely unfazed by his attempt at intimidation. Our boy is left utterly speechless, his tough guy act failing completely in the face of her kindness. A beautiful image of Yennecar appears, framed by flowers, representing her outwardly naive and kind personality. This is immediately contrasted with a terrifying vision of her engulfed in dark, corrupting magenta energy, hinting at her hidden nature. In an epic, full-page spread, she is shown as the final boss of the game's first act, standing alone against a horde of massive, chained, demonic beings. Our boy closes his eyes, his face etched with inner turmoil, as he struggles with the knowledge that this kind girl is the only one who has ever smiled at him. Yennecar's face lights up with pure, unadulterated joy and excitement at the prospect of helping a new friend. Our boy stands shirtless, his toned physique on display, as he explains his desperate financial situation after being disowned. Yennecar's happy expression instantly freezes, cracking like a stone statue as he asks to borrow money. A cold, calculating look enters her eyes as he reassures her that he will pay her back and asks how much she has. The scene shows her sitting alone, engrossed in her studies, highlighting her dedication and her greatest weakness. A single word appears on the screen, revealing her vulnerability: money. They stand facing each other in the golden light of the setting sun, an awkward and heavy silence hanging between them. Yennecar's stone-like facade crumbles away into dust, her disappointment and hurt palpable. A single bead of sweat rolls down our boy's cheek as he coldly dismisses her from his life. The scene transitions to a bright, clear sky, indicating that 3 days have passed. Our boy walks through the forest with a hunted rabbit, feeling a pang of guilt but resolute in his decision to avoid the main characters. A split-screen close-up shows his and another character's eyes, both filled with a silent, steely determination. He returns to his camp and bends over to enter his makeshift shelter. He suddenly drops his basket and falls to his knees in utter shock and disbelief. His face is a mask of pure, unadulterated panic. Inside his shelter, a girl with short, light purple hair is sleeping soundly, curled up on his bed of clothes. The girl lets out a massive yawn and stretches her arms, waking up from her nap. A cartoonish depiction shows our boy panicking outside his shelter as the girl sits calmly, wondering why he's so worried about the plot. Our boy looks completely flustered, trying to stammer out an explanation for his presence. The girl calmly points a finger past him, her expression unbothered. A massive swirl of blue spiritual energy begins to materialize directly behind our boy. The magnificent head of a giant, glowing blue spirit wolf materializes from the energy vortex. Our boy is enveloped in the brilliant blue aura of the spirit, his hair and clothes whipping wildly around him. The full, awe-inspiring form of the giant spirit wolf looms over him, its ethereal eyes glowing. It delivers a telepathic message, a plea to save Yennecar in the future. In a cartoonish style, our boy looks around in confusion while the girl points to the empty space where the spirit wolf just was. From his perspective, the forest clearing is completely empty. He saw nothing at all. A bead of sweat rolls down our boy's face as he realizes that just as he managed to get rid of one major character, another, even more problematic one has appeared. The girl, Lucy, is shown sleeping peacefully in his shelter, a small snot bubble inflating and deflating with each breath, much to his annoyance. He comically shakes her awake, yelling at her not to fall back asleep after delivering such a cryptic message. Our boy's eyes widen as a sudden, horrifying thought crosses his mind. A chibi version of Lucy is shown happily floating through the air on magical platforms, illustrating her ability to go wherever she pleases. She is shown napping on the ledge of a giant clock tower and on a steep rooftop, proving that no place is too strange for her to find a spot for a nap. The scene shows the peaceful, chirping woods of the northern forest, a remote location where our boy thought he would be alone. The tranquil stream near his campsite trickles over smooth stones, an idyllic and peaceful setting. Lucy lets out a huge yawn from inside his makeshift shelter, declaring it the perfect quiet place to skip class and nap. Our boy's face is a mask of pure annoyance, his eyes shadowed as he realizes the peace and quiet he sought has been completely shattered. The next day begins with a shot of the bright, sunlit sky. He looks up with an expression of sheer exasperation, knowing he has to deal with his new, unwelcome roommate. A massive, glowing purple magic circle appears above his shelter as Lucy practices high-level spells in her sleep, causing him to dive for cover. A system window notifies him that he has successfully crafted a new item, a simple snare trap for catching small animals. He sits beside his newly crafted trap while Lucy nonchalantly asks if she can have some of his jerky. Without even looking at her, Lucy snatches a piece of jerky from his hand, completely ignoring his refusal. He racks his brain for a way to get rid of her, knowing that her continued presence will only lead to trouble. Lucy happily munches on the stolen jerky, casually mentioning that she saw some maids from her dormitory looking for her. The mention of the maids sends a jolt of panic through her, her face contorting in comical horror. The jerky drops from her mouth as she freezes in place, completely petrified. She awkwardly shuffles away, announcing that she has suddenly remembered an urgent matter to attend to. With a final, panicked, "See you!" Zrinya, she blasts off into the sky with a powerful explosion of magic, leaving him behind. Our boy kneels by the water's edge, a look of smug satisfaction on his face as he watches her hasty retreat. A cartoonish drawing shows the small, witch-hatted Lucy constantly being chased by a determined dormitory maid. A sly, triumphant smile spreads across his face as he thinks to himself, "Lucy may reel. Out." He turns and walks back towards his camp, axe and rope in hand, confident that her brief visit won't affect the main storyline. The scene shifts to a massive circular arena within the academy, where a one-on-one duel is about to take place. A combat student is shown mid-swing, his practice sword glowing with a blue aura during a mock battle. A magic department student, Ziggs, unleashes a powerful blast of elemental magic from his hand. The academy's crest is displayed above a tournament bracket, showing that opponents are chosen at random. Our boy's face is serious as he watches the event, knowing that all the main characters are involved. A collage introduces the key players: Princess Penya, Lortel, Ziggs, Yennecar, Lucy, and the creepy Clevius. The most important character, the game's protagonist, Taylor the failed swordmaster, is introduced, standing ready with his sword. Our boy's eyes sparkle with excitement, a huge, goofy grin on his face as he eagerly awaits the protagonist's fight. From a high vantage point, a battle rages below, with massive explosions of green energy tearing up the arena floor. The cheerful, pink-haired Yennecar suddenly pops up beside him with a bright smile and a cheerful, "Hi!" Our boy's face contorts in pure annoyance and disbelief that she is still trying to be friends with him after he asked her for money. He turns his back on her as she holds up the tournament bracket, completely uninterested in his own match. His eyes widen in sudden, dawning horror, question marks popping up around his head as he remembers a crucial detail. Yennecar cheerfully points to a section of the bracket, forcing him to look. The bracket clearly shows his name, Ed Rothstaler, matched up against none other than Princess Penia Elias. A title card appears with her name, as if to mock his terrible luck. The announcer's voice booms, calling the next two combatants, Lucy May Reel, and Taylor McClure, to the waiting room, signaling the start of the protagonist's duel. Ed Rothstaler springs to his feet, his fanboy instincts taking over as he shouts the protagonist's name in excitement. On the arena floor, Taylor raises his fist, his expression filled with a fiery determination to do his best. Our boy watches with a calm smile, his focus entirely on the protagonist, whose journey he knows by heart. A game over screen from one of his many playthroughs is shown, a reminder of the many tragic endings he has witnessed. The "play again" prompt from the game appears, a testament to his dedication to finding the best possible outcome. A beaten and broken Taylor is shown, a somber image from one of the game's many difficult and heart-wrenching routes. A cute chibi version of our boy sheds a tear, his fist clenched as he silently cheers for the protagonist he has come to care for. The announcer's voice calls out for Lucy May Reel again, her absence causing a stir in the crowd. Our boy's face is a mask of pure panic as he realizes the main event is about to be ruined. He spots Lucy fast asleep under a spare platform near the stage, completely oblivious to the chaos. He gently pokes her cheek, trying to wake her up before she forfeits the match. With Lucy still half asleep, he desperately ties his necktie to her pigtail to drag her onto the stage. He grits his teeth in frustration as the sleepy Lucy mumbles about being hungry for more jerky. The top first-year student, Lucy May Reel, finally stands on the stage, letting out a massive yawn. Her opponent, Taylor McClure, stands ready, his fists clenched in anticipation. A close-up shows Taylor's hand resting on the hilt of his sword, a brilliant light emanating from the blade. Despite never having held a sword before, Taylor instinctively cuts through Lucy's lightning-fast magic. Lucy's eyes widen in complete shock, her guaranteed hit spell effortlessly blocked. Seizing the opportunity, Taylor closes the distance between them in a blur of motion. Startled, Lucy reflexively casts an intermediate-level lightning spell, a clear violation of the rules. Though defeated by the illegal spell, Taylor is declared the winner by disqualification, a triumphant moment for the underdog. A chibi Ed cries rivers of happy tears, overjoyed to see one of the game's most iconic scenes play out perfectly. The announcer signals the start of the next match from a platform high above the arena. The camera zooms down to the brightly lit stage where the two new opponents face each other. Taylor charges forward with a powerful battle cry, ready to take on his next opponent. With a flick of her wrist, Lucy unleashes a massive wave of ice that completely engulfs him. Taylor is shown defeated, encased in rubble and ice, the match over in an instant. The crowd is stunned into silence, and our boy gulps nervously at the display of overwhelming power. Lucy lets out a bored yawn, a small puff of smoke escaping her lips, as if the fight was nothing more than a minor inconvenience. The camera focuses on the defeated Taylor, his body bruised and battered from the one-sided fight. His gloved hand twitches, a sign that he is not yet completely defeated. His fingers fumble on the ground, searching for something to hold onto. His hand closes around the hilt of a wooden training sword, his grip tightening with renewed purpose. He trembles with effort, pushing himself up from the ground, his body screaming in protest. From the stands, our boy watches with a knowing smile, recognizing this pivotal moment. Taylor rises to his feet, a fiery red aura of pure determination flaring around him, refusing to give up. Our boy cheers him on, his face alight with admiration for the swordmaster who never gave up. Taylor leaps into the air, his body a blur of motion as he hurtles towards Lucy with a powerful kick. From the stands, our boy shouts Lucy's name, creating a deliberate distraction at the most crucial moment. A sly, knowing grin spreads across his face, confident that his interference will ensure the correct outcome. His eye widens in pure, unadulterated shock as he realizes his plan has gone horribly wrong. Instead of the expected lightning spell, Lucy calmly unleashes a swirling torrent of wind magic. The two opposing forces of magic collide in a brilliant, chaotic explosion. Taylor screams in agony as he is caught in the vortex of raw magical power. The wind magic coalesces into the shape of a roaring, spectral beast. Taylor's silhouette is sent flying through the air by the force of the blast. The spell slams into the upper balconies of the arena with a deafening crash. Our boy watches in horror as the grand architecture crumbles and falls apart. The dust settles to reveal Taylor's unconscious body embedded in the destroyed wall. Our boy stares, completely dumbfounded, at the unexpected and disastrous outcome. Lucy stands calmly on the stage, her eyes glowing with a mysterious purple light as she is revealed to have used wind magic. The announcer declares Lucy may reel the winner as the crowd roars with a mixture of shock and excitement. The camera focuses on the defeated Taylor, his body limp and broken amidst the rubble. Our boy's face is a mask of pure disbelief and horror at how badly the plot has been derailed. With the duel over, our boy calmly walks away from the defeated and motionless form of Taylor on the arena floor. A close-up on Taylor's face shows the light of hope completely extinguished from his eyes, replaced by a dull, empty stare. Our boy continues to walk away, a sense of dread creeping in as he realizes that leaving the protagonist in this state is the worst possible outcome. A system window details a passive skill, the Storm's Blessing, a defensive wind spell granted by a contract with the high-level spirit, Marilda. As our boy turns, Lucy appears in a blur of motion beside him, nonchalantly asking if she can have some jerky now. Lucy points at him with a sleepy, self-satisfied expression, having grown stronger after making a contract with Marilda during her stay at his camp. The announcer's voice calls his name, and our boy is shown dashing down a long hallway to fulfill his duty in the tournament bracket. Princess Pania catches sight of him rushing past, a look of surprise and suspicion on her face. As he runs, he looks over at the defeated Taylor, his mind racing with the thought that the protagonist should have won. He knows that this victory was meant to be a pivotal moment for Taylor, a turning point that would boost his confidence. Gritting his teeth, our boy realizes with a sinking feeling that his own interference is the sole reason for this disastrous change in the timeline. He calls out to Taylor, who is being led away by his friends, his shoulders slumped in defeat. Taylor comes to a halt, his head bowed, refusing to look back at the one who caused his humiliation. He stands before the dejected protagonist, his arms spread wide as he begins to shout words of praise and motivation. Our boy passionately tells Taylor to be proud of his efforts and that his loss was merely a matter of bad luck. His face contorts with a desperate, almost comical urgency as he yells at Taylor not to despair over such a trivial loss. A flashback shows a younger Princess Pania bathed in a holy light as her father, the Emperor, recognizes her unique, God-given ability. A system window for insightful eyes clarifies that her power was not a gift from the gods, but a skill forged through hardship. A young Pania is shown kneeling on the cold, hard floor of the palace, having honed her ability to discern lies as a means of survival. A close-up of her determined, glowing eyes reveals the absolute faith she developed in her self-made power. The narration explains that despite being surrounded by corrupt nobles with false smiles, the princess spent her life pretending not to see the darkness around her. Our boy stands before her on the dueling stage, his formal posture hiding his own complex motives. Princess Pania turns her head away, her expression annoyed as she recalls his loud, seemingly mocking cheers for Taylor. In the stands, other students whisper amongst themselves, speculating that his encouragement was just a cruel, underhanded way to mock the loser. Pania closes her eyes, her own thoughts aligning with the crowd's negative perception of him. She recalls a memory of the original Ed Rothstaler, a shameless bully who used his status to humiliate other students. Another memory flashes by, showing the original Ed's panicked, screaming face after being caught cheating on the entrance exams. A montage of recent events flashes through her mind, his sincere gratitude, his mysterious knowledge, his strange behavior, making her question who he truly is now. Her eyes narrow as she remembers the look of genuine, desperate sincerity on his face when he was encouraging Taylor. A flashback shows his passionate outburst, his face filled with an undeniable sense of urgency. The duel begins, and her internal monologue confirms that his desperation was real. Our boy looks away from her, his expression unreadable as he tells her she is merely a distraction. In response, Princess Penia unleashes a powerful torrent of water magic, her face set with determination. She forms a swirling orb of water in her hand, preparing to end the duel quickly. Our boy is sent flying into the air by the force of her spell, his body limp and seemingly defenseless. A close-up of Penia's face reveals her battle strategy, to overwhelm him and force his true motives to the surface. She continues her internal monologue, planning to unravel his mysteries through the intensity of their battle. Her water spell strikes him dead on with a powerful thwack. A chibi version of Penia looks on in complete confusion, her hand raised as if to halt the one-sided fight. Our boy is slammed into the arena wall with a sickening crash, the stone cracking under the impact. He lies in a heap amidst the rubble, immediately admitting defeat. Princess Penia's mouth hangs open in utter shock and disbelief at his instant surrender. Her eyes widen as she realizes the truth. He saw her attack coming and deliberately chose not to block it. The crowd begins to boo, jeering at his pathetic and cowardly performance. He gets to his feet and bows deeply to her, thanking her for the duel, which only adds to her confusion. Princess Penia's eye narrows in suspicion as she realizes something is very wrong with the entire situation. It dawns on her that throughout the entire match, from the moment he stepped onto the stage, he never once met her gaze. As the announcer declares her the winner, she understands that he had absolutely no intention of fighting her from the very beginning. He is shown sprinting down a long, ornate hallway, his mind focused on how to handle Princess Penia without derailing the main plot. A monochrome image of Taylor appears as our boy reminds himself that the protagonist is the most important person in this world. He skids to a halt, looking around frantically, desperately searching for the defeated swordmaster. He hears someone call his name and turns to see who it is. Princess Penia stands panting in a doorway, having run all the way from the arena to confront him. He feigns confusion, but she immediately sees through his act, her face contorting with anger. She furiously yells at him, accusing him of throwing the match and making a mockery of their duel. A cartoonish montage shows her various stressors: the scheming Lortel, the grumpy Professor Glast, and the demanding palace staff, culminating in her exploding with frustration. A single bead of sweat rolls down our boy's cheek as he realizes the immense pressure she is under. He gently places a hand on her shoulder, his expression softening as he attempts to calm her down. He speaks to her in a calm, gentle voice, advising her to take a deep breath and relax. Sunlight streams through the grand arched windows of the hallway as she takes a shaky breath in. She slowly exhales, the tension beginning to leave her body. A cute chibi version of our boy gently comforts the princess, who now seems small and vulnerable. Princess Penia covers her face with her hands, a deep blush of embarrassment spreading across her cheeks. She looks away, still blushing, as our boy awkwardly asks if he can leave now. She lets out a sigh, blaming her suspicious nature on her upbringing in the palace, while our boy comically dodges her sigh as if it were a physical force. Her eyes flash with a newfound determination as she decides to confront him directly with her suspicions. The sinister Rothstaler mansion appears under a dark, foreboding sky as she accuses him of getting disowned on purpose because he knew of his family's dark secrets. She points an accusatory finger at him, declaring that he bullied Taylor simply to create a plausible reason for his family to cast him out. Our boy's face is half hidden in shadow, a single bead of sweat on his temple as he admits her deduction is sharp, but only half right. With a smug, dismissive expression, He crosses his arms and denies knowing anything, telling her it's a plot point she has to discover on her own. A furious, red-faced Chibi Pania shouts at him, demanding to know why he would cheer for someone he was trying to get expelled. He brushes off her very valid questions with a flippant and obviously false excuse. His nose grows comically long like Pinocchio's as he lies about wanting to be seen in a different light, prompting her to furiously call him a liar. Her insightful eyes activate, and a red lie notification appears as his nose continues to stretch. He continues to insist that he's being serious, but two more lie notifications pop up as she stomps her feet in rage. She becomes so enraged that she literally breathes fire, shouting at him to stop his pathetic and transparent lies. With a sigh, she finally calms down, smoke fizzling from her head as she admits she can't refute his claims without proof. A bead of sweat rolls down our boy's cheek as she looks at him with cold, narrowed eyes and dismisses him. She stands with her thumb pointed towards the door, her message clear: get out. He quickly thanks her and turns to leave, the grand door creaking open before him. He pauses, his hand on the door, a thoughtful expression on his face as he reflects on her uncharacteristically emotional outburst. A vertical panel shows a montage of all the characters and incidents that constantly weigh on the princess's mind. He looks back at her lonely, dejected figure and realizes that his own complicated presence was the straw that broke the camel's back. Princess Penia looks up, her eyes wide and vulnerable as he turns back to speak to her one last time. Standing in the doorway, he offers her a few quiet words of genuine comfort and understanding. A close-up of Penia's golden eye shows it widening in surprise, a glimmer of light reflecting in its depths. She stands amidst a swirl of golden leaves, her expression one of pure, unadulterated shock, the first time anyone has ever seen past her carefully constructed facade. The sun sets in a beautiful sky of pink and purple clouds as he takes his leave. Our boy is shown dashing down a hallway, a look of panic on his face as he realizes how much time he has wasted. He skids to a halt in front of Taylor, who is sitting alone on a set of stairs, clutching his wooden practice sword. A close-up of our boy's face shows his own panic and uncertainty. He has no idea what to say to the defeated protagonist. A young woman with brown hair and a red cape suddenly jumps between them, her arms spread wide to protect Taylor. The main female lead of the story, Ayla Triss, stands before him, her eyes filled with tears as she begs him to stop bullying Taylor. Ayla stands with tears streaming from her bright green eyes, her voice filled with anguish as she pleads with him against the backdrop of a beautiful sunset. She stands defiantly between our boy and Taylor, her arms spread wide as she angrily accuses him of being a bully. Our boy takes a surprised step back as Taylor, with Ayla's help, rises to his feet, his gaze now steady and clear. A look of pure, unadulterated shock crosses our boy's face. Against all odds, the protagonist's spirit has recovered. Taylor stands tall, the spark of hope in his eyes, now a raging fire of willpower. And he calls out Ed Rothstahler's name with newfound determination. It dawns on our boy that while he was busy with his own problems, Taylor's greatest supporter must have rushed to his side. A heartwarming flashback shows Ayla gently patting the dejected Taylor's back, her quiet words of encouragement rekindling his fighting spirit. Taylor and Ayla now stand together as a united front, glaring at him with renewed confidence as the protagonist coldly asks what he wants. A single bead of sweat rolls down our boy's face as he finds himself momentarily speechless, taken aback by their resilience. A close-up on Taylor's determined, dirt-smudged face reveals the depth of his character, a hero forged through countless hardships. Ed Rothstahler turns his back on them, a whirlwind of emotions on his face, as he decides to stop hiding from his own feelings. A flashback to his own desperate shouting fills his mind, and he is struck by a wave of guilt for having taken the protagonist's suffering for granted. He looks off into the distance, his expression pensive, the full weight of his actions and his connection to this world finally sinking in. A gentle, genuine smile spreads across our boy's face, a profound and unexpected sense of relief washing over him. He walks away with a newfound sense of peace, leaving the two heroes to watch him go, his quiet departure speaking volumes. A cartoonish drawing shows Taylor and Ayla with looks of pure disgust, completely baffled by his sudden and cool exit. Our boy approaches a grand wooden door, his back to the camera, ready to leave the arena and its drama behind him. A sudden, distant boom makes him turn back, a look of surprise on his face. His attention is drawn to a massive, fiery explosion erupting high above the academy grounds. A spectacular dragon made of pure, roaring flame soars through the air, a key story event he now witnesses from the hallway instead of the stands. A hand, surrounded by a glowing blue magic circle, appears, preparing to unleash a powerful counterattack. The red-haired Lortel is shown gliding gracefully on a massive, jagged wave of crystalline ice. The duel between the two powerful students reaches its climax as an enormous ice beast clashes with Yennekar's fire elemental. The formidable ice construct begins to crack and splinter under the intense, overwhelming heat of the flames. Yennekar's ferocious fire elemental, a beast of molten rage, shatters the ice creature with a single, powerful blast. From the sidelines, Taylor and Ayla watch the epic battle, their faces a mixture of awe and grave concern. A close-up on Taylor's wide, astonished eyes reveals his dawning realization of the incredible power levels at play. Lortel is shown engulfed in flames, her usual calm composure completely shattered as she is defeated. The majestic fire dragon unleashes a torrential downpour of fire, a stunning display of absolute dominance. Yennekar stands amidst the flames with a confident, serene smile, completely in her element. The crowd erupts in cheers, swarming around the victorious Yennekar to shower her with congratulations and praise. She giggles shyly, her cheeks flushed with pride, clearly overwhelmed by the sudden adoration. Her joyful expression instantly vanishes as her eyes widen in alarm at the sound of medics shouting for a clear path. A team rushes past with the badly burned and unconscious Lortel on a stretcher, a grim reminder of the duel's intensity. Yennekar stares in pure shock and horror at her defeated opponent, the full weight of her actions crashing down on her. With the protagonist's unexpected loss, Yennekar has become the new center of attention, the hero of the upperclassmen. Our boy calmly dusts off his red school jacket, thinking to himself that her newfound fame will surely keep her too busy to bother him. He steps out through a grand doorway, his jacket slung over his shoulder, confident that he has finally managed to detach himself from the main plot. A beautiful, starry night sky appears, marking the peaceful passage of 2 weeks since the combat training. A simple, handmade fishing net sits in a calm stream, a symbol of the quiet, self-sufficient life he has built for himself. Ed Rothstaler emerges from the water, his impressive, muscular physique a testament to his hard work, as his stats are shown to have increased. His bare feet drip onto the sandy bank, as he reminds himself not to get complacent in his training. Yennekar is suddenly there, peeking at him through her fingers with a deeply embarrassed, blushing face. Our boy stands half naked and completely flustered, demanding to know why she keeps popping up out of nowhere. Her feet are shown dangling near his campfire as she explains that his secret hideout feels like an adventure. She sits by the fire, her expression turning serious as she admits that she came to him for advice. Our boy pulls on his shirt, his surprise evident as he questions why she would seek him out of all people. They sit across from each other by the crackling fire as she begins to explain her problem, which started during the combat training. A flashback shows the grievously injured Lortel on a stretcher as Yennekar admits that she was the one who hurt her. He recalls the duel, knowing that Lortel broke the rules first, but understands that such technicalities wouldn't matter to the kind-hearted Yennecar. Yennecar hugs her knees, her face troubled as she confesses that she is plagued by guilt and self-doubt. She looks up from the fire, her eyes filled with conflict as she asks if she should apologize, explaining that her friends always stop her. Ed Rothstaler looks at her with a steady, serious gaze and tells her to do it if she truly thinks it's the right thing to do. Yennecar looks up at him, completely taken aback by his simple, straightforward advice. A flashback shows her friends surrounding her with praise and comfort, always taking her side without question. She looks down at her knees, admitting to herself that while their support is nice, it doesn't absolve her of her own responsibility. He sits across from her, his face illuminated by the firelight, as she says she knew he was different and wouldn't just blindly agree with her. A genuine, relieved smile spreads across her face as she stretches her arms above her head, the tension finally leaving her body. A cute, cartoonish drawing shows them by the fire, him mending his net while she cheerfully waves a bandaged hand. A close-up of Yennecar's observant eyes reveals her inner thoughts. He has changed so much from the person he was last year. A flashback to our boy asking her for money shows that even then, she sensed he wasn't truly desperate, but was trying to push her away. She watches him now, mending his net by the firelight, and finds his quiet, honest presence to be a source of comfort and relief. Yennecar smiles with a sense of genuine peace, her face glowing in the warm firelight as fireflies begin to appear around them. The night ends peacefully, the dark silhouette of the trees dotted with the gentle, blinking lights of fireflies. The sun rises on a new day, its light illuminating the grand architecture of the academy. The sound of footsteps on an ornate carpet echoes through a quiet hallway. Our boy walks with a grim, determined expression, a single bead of sweat on his face as he thinks to himself, "I'm in trouble." A dizzying, abstract image of countless game guides and forums fills the screen, representing the many bad endings a player can face. A bad ending scenario is shown, where the protagonist is assassinated after discovering the Golden Daughter's secret. Another bad ending screen appears, this one showing that Ayla has died after falling from a cliff. A third, bad ending, is displayed, showing the protagonist being burned to death after protecting the Golden Daughter from one of Yennecar's fire spirits. Our boy looks annoyed as Lortel continues to speak to him, and he tries to get away from her. She corners him, a chilling smile on her face, and he looks terrified, a cold sweat breaking out on his forehead. A full-body shot introduces Lortel Cahelland, the Golden Daughter, her smile both charming and dangerous. A dramatic close-up of Lortel's face reveals her sly, calculating grin as she offers to purchase his time, her nickname, the Newbie Shredder, appearing below. Lortel stands back-to-back with a stylized silhouette of Princess Pania, illustrating her status as a hidden and more complex character. She is shown with a hood covering her face, a single menacing eye glowing from the shadows, representing her initial portrayal as a villain in the game. A single blood-stained baguette is pierced by a dagger, symbolizing the difficult and morally ambiguous choices the player must make in her storyline. Our boy tries to ignore her, walking away as a chibi Lortel looks on with a bead of sweat, her attempt at manipulation failing. With a weary expression, he stares down at two chibi versions of Lortel who are fawning over him, seeing right through her act of flattery. She shuffles awkwardly to keep up with him as he continues to walk away, trying to maintain her composure. Lortel clasps her hands together, a look of pure admiration on her face as she praises his strong will and determination to continue his studies. A cute, chibi version of Lortel chatters away while our boy stands with his arms crossed, completely unimpressed by her attempts to flatter him. She holds up 3 gleaming gold coins between her bandaged fingers, a sly and confident glint in her eyes. Our boy looks down at the offered coins with a bead of sweat on his face as she asks him to help her befriend Yennecar. A close-up shows a single shining gold coin resting in her palm. a sum that represents a month's wages for an ordinary person. He leans in close, his expression serious and questioning, as Lortel meets his gaze with a confident, sly smile. She smoothly slips the 3 gold coins into the inner pocket of his school jacket. The coins jingle softly in his pocket as she explains her philosophy of gathering as many allies as possible. A sharp, knowing glint appears in our boy's eye as he realizes she is already planning for a future political battle against Princess Pania. Lortel looks up at the departing princess, a cunning and determined smile on her face, already making her strategic moves. A sly smirk spreads across our boy's face, a silent acknowledgement of the game he is now a part of. He extends his hand for a handshake, a formal gesture to seal their supposed deal. Lortel meets his handshake with a confident smirk, her inner thoughts revealing her manipulative strategy. Their hands grasp, her bandaged fingers against his, as she internally monologues about the weakness of those who have fallen from grace. Her thoughts continue, revealing her belief that a single coin is all it takes to control someone who has been pushed to the edge. A dark, symbolic image shows desperate people reaching for falling gold coins, selling their pride and their families for money. Lortel is shown from above, a look of confusion on her face as her plan hits an unexpected snag. The 3 gold coins jingle in her hand as she realizes, to her surprise, that her simple bribe did not work. She turns her head, a genuinely intrigued smile on her face, a newfound interest in the boy who rejected her money. Our boy walks away through a grand, sunlit archway, leaving Lortel to watch him go with a thoughtful expression. He grits his teeth in frustration, knowing that accepting the money would have made his life infinitely easier. His face is a mask of pure terror as he imagines the horrifying consequences of teaming up the newbie Shredder with the final boss of Act 1. That night, the Academy rooftops are shown under a beautiful, starry sky. Yennecar is walking down a hallway when she is greeted by Lortel, who is now dressed in a simple nightgown. Lortel, with her hair down and her arms still bandaged, approaches Yennecar, her expression unreadable. A close-up on Lortel's face reveals her true intention. Our boy's rejection has only fueled her desire to win Yennecar over to her side. A flashback shows Lortel unleashing her powerful ice magic during the joint combat training. Yennecar glances at her, a hint of suspicion in her eyes, as Lortel begins her calculated apology. Lortel explains that her rule-breaking was simply a desire to test the strength of the top second-year student. She stands before Yennecar, her bandaged arms a clear testament to the high price she paid for that test. Lortel's eyes narrow with surprise as Yennecar reveals that their conversation didn't work out. Yennecar smiles gently, explaining that while she respects Lortel's privacy, the spirits of the forest are very chatty. She is shown surrounded by a host of colorful, ethereal spirits, including a magnificent blue horse and a fiery orange dragon. A flashback shows Lortel's entire conversation with our boy, as Yennecar reveals that the spirits told her everything. Lortel's eyes widen in pure, unadulterated shock, her carefully constructed plan completely falling apart. Yennecar repeats Lortel's original offer back to her, but this time it's an offer of genuine friendship. She steps forward, her expression sincere, and tells Lortel that true friendship can't be bought with money. A flashback shows our boy, extending his hand for a handshake, a simple gesture of agreement. Another flashback shows Lortel's hand offering the 3 gold coins, a stark contrast in their methods. A cute, chibi version of Yennecar humbly admits that she may have gotten a bit conceited after becoming a top student. She turns to leave, explaining that she has much to prepare for her official contract with a high-ranking spirit. Our boy realizes his entire perception of Yennecar as a naive, fairy tale protagonist was completely wrong. As Yennecar walks away, she pauses at a doorway to offer a sincere apology for the injuries Lortel sustained. She turns back with a gentle, knowing smile, revealing that she is not ignorant of the world's darkness, but chooses to face it with a cheerful attitude. The heavy, ornate door closes with a soft clack. Lortel is left alone in the hallway, letting out a frustrated groan as she realizes Yennecar is far more difficult to manipulate than she anticipated. A single bead of sweat rolls down her face as she admits to herself that Yennecar seemed a little off. She sits alone in a dark room, surrounded by a heavy, oppressive atmosphere, the weight of her new reality settling in. Her laundry hangs on a line, bathed in the bright, warm light of a beautiful, rainbow-filled day. Lucy, in her witch hat, sniffs the air with a curious expression, her keen senses picking up a familiar scent. A series of massive explosions rips through our boy's campsite, sending his freshly washed clothes flying. He looks on in horror, covering his head with his wet laundry, completely bewildered by the sudden attack. A senior maid from the Academy's most prestigious dormitory, Ophelis Hall, stands before him, a picnic basket in her hand. A flashback shows the same maid kicking him and his luggage out of the dormitory, a grim reminder of his fall from grace. He gestures awkwardly around his destroyed campsite as the maid, Belle Maya, explains that she knew he was living there thanks to Yennecar. She looks at his crude, leafy shelter with a mixture of surprise and pity, admitting she didn't expect his living conditions to be quite so primitive. Our boy looks down, clutching his pants in embarrassment as she tells him the change seems to have done him some good. A cartoonish close-up of his face shows his eyes darting back and forth, completely distracted from her words. A menacing image of the elite maids of Ophelis Hall appears, their eyes glowing with a sinister red light. His gaze is fixed on the sparkling, impeccably crafted wicker basket in her hands. He realizes that the basket must contain the finest, most valuable ingredients, a treasure trove of high-level foraging information. He swallows nervously, his mind racing as he tries to recall the specific game event that involves her character. The maid, Belle, tells him he can treat her as poorly as he did before, but he quickly and firmly refuses. A close-up of her eye shows a flicker of surprise at his unexpected response. He places a hand over his heart, a gentle smile on his face as he tells her he could never treat someone who works so hard with disrespect. With a bright, cheerful expression, he clasps his hands together and pivots the conversation to the contents of her basket. A system message confirms that Belle has shared her knowledge of the forest's various edible plants and herbs. A system window announces the creation of a new item, a fish net for fish farming, and a diagram shows his improved food situation with a new fish trap and a meat drying rack. His ornate golden goblet is placed in the center of a carefully constructed fire pit. With a single word, ignite, a powerful burst of flame erupts from the fire pit, bringing the water in the goblet to a boil. Our boy sits calmly by the fire, a system window showing that his 2 basic fire and wind spells have finally reached level 10 through constant use. Another crafting notification appears for herbal tea, made with the herbs Belle taught him about. He takes a sip of the fragrant tea from his goblet, which is now adorned with fresh leaves. He sits on a cliff's edge, watching the beautiful sunset, a sense of peace washing over him as he realizes he has finished all his tasks for the day with time to spare. A genuine, contented smile graces his face as he takes another sip of his tea, admitting to himself that he is actually starting to enjoy this new, simple life. A single, bright star glints in the twilight sky, catching his eye and filling him with a sudden sense of unease. A massive, fiery object hurtles down from the sky, crashing into the forest with a deafening kaboom. Our boy is sent flying through the air by the force of the explosion, his body limp as he is thrown from the cliff. A massive cloud of smoke and dust billows up from the point of impact, completely obscuring the area. He coughs and sputters, covered in dirt and soot, as he pushes himself up from the rubble of his completely destroyed shelter. He looks out at the smoldering crater, where his peaceful campsite used to be, his mind reeling from the sudden, violent destruction. The dust and smoke begin to clear, the sound of someone panting for breath echoing in the quiet aftermath. A girl with long, silvery white hair sits in the center of the crater, her body glowing with a faint blue aura as she mutters that she almost died. A girl with long, silvery white hair sits in the center of a smoldering crater, her body glowing with a faint blue aura as she pushes herself up from the ground. Our boy rushes to her side, his own clothes tattered and singed, and asks in disbelief how the world's strongest mage could have almost died. The girl shudders in fear at the mention of the name Bel Maya, while our boy thinks to himself that the maid is actually a very kind person. A flashback shows a terrifying, demonic-looking Bel Maya looming over the girl, her fists clenched and her eyes glowing with red-hot fury. The girl lets out a sigh of relief, explaining that the situation was so sudden and threatening that she instinctively teleported away. The two of them stand at the edge of the massive, smoking crater left behind by her panicked teleportation. Our boy grits his teeth in silent rage, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated fury as he thinks of the person responsible for this mess. He lightly thwacks the girl on the head with a stick, his anger boiling over as he yells at her for blowing away his precious supply of jerky. She rubs her head in pain, a look of genuine surprise on her face as she realizes her automatic magic barrier didn't activate. She sits on the ground, a confused expression on her face as she checks herself for mana, realizing she is completely drained. A close-up of her beautiful, multicolored eyes reveals her shock as she understands the full gravity of her situation. With a menacing grin and glowing red eyes, our boy clenches his fist, a dark, vengeful aura swirling around him. The sounds of his retribution echo across the landscape as the sun sets, a small measure of justice for his demolished shelter and the kind-hearted maid. A shot of a grand, sturdy building appears as he thinks to himself that he needs to build a much stronger house. He sits in the academy library, surrounded by towering stacks of books, diligently researching architectural designs and building materials. A close-up of his eye shows his intense focus, which is only broken when he hears someone announce that the library is closing. A girl with bright pink hair tied in pigtails stands before him, looking down at him with an expression of pure admiration. The girl, a first-year magic student named Elka Elan, introduces herself with a sweet and gentle smile. A cute, chibi version of Elka sparkles with excitement, and our boy can tell that she is eagerly waiting for him to introduce himself as well. He simply states his first name, his expression cool and detached. Elka's face instantly transforms into a wooden mask of pure horror, her eyes turning into terrified spirals as he reveals his full name, Ed Rothstaler. A close-up of Elka's eyes reveals her surprise as she declares that he is very different from the rumors she has heard. She points to the massive stack of dense, complicated books he has been reading, impressed by his dedication. A sunlit window is shown as she admits that she had heard he was nothing more than an ignorant braggart. With a bright, genuine smile, she concludes that rumors are clearly unreliable. A vision of the protagonist, Taylor, appears behind her as she mentions that she knows someone else who works just as hard. She stands before him in the grand, warmly lit library, offering him her sincere encouragement and support. She waves a cheerful goodbye from behind a bookshelf as he prepares to pack up and leave for the night. The library suddenly begins to rumble violently, and our boy's eye glows with a mysterious blue light as he senses the impending danger. The entire library shakes, sending both of them stumbling as they struggle to keep their balance. Elka looks back in terror as the heavy doors at the far end of the library creak open on their own. Books rain down from the shaking shelves, a chaotic and dangerous scene unfolding around them. A massive beam of purple energy shoots into the night sky from the academy grounds, signaling the start of a major disaster. A group of students, led by the protagonist Taylor, are shown gathered at a temporary post, surrounded by monstrous shadow creatures. Ayla looks up at the ominous beam of light, her face pale with worry as she recognizes it from her studies. The camera zooms in on the swirling purple energy, revealing a complex magic circle used for summoning the highest-ranking spirit of darkness. Princess Penia stands with a group of other main characters, her expression grim as she deduces the identity of the summoner. Her internal monologue concludes that the enemy must be the top second-year student, whose immense power has been corrupted by the dark spirit. A menacing image of Yennecar appears, her eyes glowing with a sinister red light as she is wreathed in dark, corrupting energy. The main characters stand together in the purple-tinged twilight, a somber and determined mood hanging over them. A close-up on Princess Penia's eye reflects the gravity of the situation as she formulates a plan. Taylor raises his hand, rallying the others to action, his voice filled with a fiery determination to break through the barrier and save the trapped students. A collage shows various faculty and powerful allies who are outside the barrier and unable to help, leaving the students to fend for themselves. Princess Penia addresses the group, suggesting that if they all work together, they can defeat the high-ranking spirit. The cowardly Clevius shudders in fear, immediately and vehemently rejecting her plan. A pair of monstrous, shadowy beasts with glowing purple eyes are shown guarding the entrance to the besieged building. A single wisp of purple energy floats by, a subtle hint that there is an even greater threat lying in wait. Two massive, high-ranking spirits, a fiery dragon and a horned demon, are revealed to be inside, both having gone completely berserk. Clevius screams in pure, unadulterated terror, refusing to participate in what he sees as a clear suicide mission. Lortel voices her own doubts, her expression skeptical as she questions if Yennecar is truly capable of such a massive, chaotic summoning all by herself. Ayla offers a chilling explanation, suggesting that Yennecar is merely a medium, her body being used by an even more powerful dark spirit. A dark demonic figure is shown manipulating a puppet like Yennecar with glowing purple strings, a visual representation of her possession. The camera focuses on the glowing red eyes of the demonic spirit, Velsper, as the narration questions how it managed to corrupt such a skilled summoner. Ziggs impatiently cuts the debate short, his expression grim as he reminds them that what's important now is deciding on a course of action. He stands with his arms crossed, presenting Princess Penia with two stark choices: wait for help that may never come, or act now and risk their lives. A close-up of Princess Penia's face shows her swallowing nervously, the immense weight of leadership and the lives of her fellow students resting on her shoulders. The entire group of main characters stands in a circle around her, their eyes all fixed on her, silently awaiting her command. Her lips are set in a tight, determined line as she hesitates, her mind racing to find the right path. A flashback shows our boy's parting words of encouragement, a simple reminder to take it easy and trust herself. Her mouth opens slightly as she comes to a decision, her voice clear and steady as she gives her command. A montage of the main characters is shown as she announces that only the strongest and most capable among them will join the assault. Her face is a mask of pure, unwavering determination as she accepts full responsibility for whatever may happen. A student runs up to her, reporting that the number of students left in the teaching halls has been determined. Another student kneels before her, reporting that the other main halls are also under siege, meaning they cannot expect any reinforcements. Princess Penia puts her hand to her head in frustration, realizing that their small group is truly on their own. The nerdy girl with purple hair, who had run all the way from the library, announces that she knows of two other students still trapped inside. A look of shock and dawning recognition flashes in Ziggs's eye as she reveals the name of her friend, Elka Island. He grabs the girl by the shoulders, his voice a furious shout as he demands to know if she's telling the truth. He turns away, his fists clenched in a mixture of rage and terror, determined to go and rescue Elka himself. Princess Pania steps in front of him, her expression firm as she orders him to calm down. Pania and Lortel both block his path, reminding him that as their strongest fighter, he is essential to their plan. Ziggs looks utterly tormented, his face a mask of pure anguish as he's torn between his duty and his heart. Princess Pania turns to the purple-haired girl, her expression demanding as she asks about the other person who was in the library. Ziggs grabs the girl and shakes her violently, his patience gone as he demands that she spit out the name of the other student. A single, large tear rolls down the girl's cheek as she struggles to form the words. A dark, shadowy figure with glowing red eyes is shown, a terrifying representation of the person Elka was left with. She finally breaks down, crying that she abandoned Elka with the douchebag, Ed Rothstaler, a name that sends a shockwave through the group. A dark, menacing aura surrounds the main characters as they absorb this horrifying piece of information. The other students react with pure terror, whispering amongst themselves about the innocent librarian girl being trapped alone with the infamous Lek. Princess Pania shouts Ziggs' name, a look of panic on her face as she tries to stop him from charging off on his own. She reaches out a hand, her expression desperate, as he prepares to abandon their plan and go on a one-man rescue mission. She looks down, her face a mixture of despair and conflict, a single bead of sweat rolling down her cheek as she searches for the right words. A beam of pink energy is shown over the library, a silent testament to the magic being used within, as she suggests they try to trust him. The main characters, including the Imperial Guard captain, turn to stone, their faces frozen in comical horror at her suggestion. Princess Pania and Lortel look on with expressions of pure, unadulterated dread and disbelief. A dark, shadowy figure with glowing red eyes represents the terrifying and monstrous reputation of Ed Rothstaler. A massive explosion of purple energy erupts from the library, sending the purple-haired girl's red ribbon flying through the air. 3 monstrous, blue-skinned demons with glowing red eyes emerge from the smoke and dust, their roars echoing through the night. The massive demons are suddenly and effortlessly sliced to pieces by a flurry of invisible blades, their bodies sliding apart in a shower of purple energy. A close-up on Ziggs' face shows his eyes wide with a murderous rage, his teeth gritted as he screams Ed Rothstaler's name into the night. In a flashback, a young, wild-looking Ziggs examines tracks in the tall grass, his keen senses analyzing his prey. A close-up of his sharp, brilliant green eye shows it peering intently through the rustling leaves. He spots his target, a large, majestic, deer-like creature grazing peacefully in a sunlit clearing. A curved, wicked-looking blade flies through the air, a testament to the harsh, barbaric lands of the northern grasslands. The deer's eye widens in sudden, primal terror as it senses the impending danger. From above, a shadowy figure wearing a wolf pelt hood leaps down onto the unsuspecting creature. A young Ziggs is shown dragging the bloody carcass of the deer, his expression grim and his past a mystery even to himself. A flashback shows a bewildered young Ziggs in a civilized town, completely out of place and overwhelmed by his surroundings. The young Ziggs drags the bloody deer through the town square, ignoring the horrified stares and cruel rumors of the civilized folk. A young, pink-haired girl with a kind face approaches the wild-looking boy, her expression one of gentle curiosity. The girl, Elka, smiles sweetly at him as he gruffly introduces himself as Ziggs. Elka beams at him, her bright, innocent smile a stark contrast to the harsh world he has always known. A close-up on her eye reveals a sudden, dawning realization about the lonely boy before her. A flashback shows a much younger Ziggs dropping the bloody limb of a dead animal, his only means of survival. Tears stream from his blood-splattered face as he is overwhelmed by a profound and soul-crushing loneliness. A heartwarming scene shows Elka and her kind, silver-haired father welcoming the young, wild Ziggs into their home. A montage of his new civilized life is shown. A warm bowl of soup, a fresh loaf of bread, and learning about spirits with Elka. Elka is shown giving the now cleaned up Ziggs a haircut, a tender moment that symbolizes his transformation from a wild beast to a human. In the present, 3 monstrous blue-skinned shadow demons stand menacingly, a stark reminder of the dangers he now faces to protect her. A flashback shows Ziggs in midair, a blur of motion as he effortlessly slices through the same type of demons with glowing red claws. His face is contorted in a furious, bestial roar, his eyes glowing with a primal rage as he vows to become a beast again to protect the one he loves. A dark, menacing image of the rumored Ed Rothstaler looms over a terrified, cornered Elka, representing the danger Ziggs perceives. Ziggs is shown running at full speed down a cracked and crumbling hallway, his entire being focused on reaching Elka in time. A close-up of his determined face shows him panting for breath, his eyes fixed on his goal as he pushes himself to his limit. He arrives at the library to find our boy sitting on the floor, his clothes tattered and his body bruised and bloody. He grabs our boy by the collar, his voice a furious roar as he demands to know where Elka is. After getting the location, Ziggs shoves our boy aside without a second thought and zooms off down the hall. He bursts through the doors of the reading room, his voice filled with a desperate urgency as he shouts Elka's name. He finds her sleeping peacefully at a table, her head resting on her arms, completely unharmed and oblivious to the chaos. His fist clenches in pure, unadulterated relief, the tension draining from his body as he sees that she is safe. He runs a hand through his hair, letting out a long, shaky breath, his body trembling with the aftermath of his fear and rage. His eyes narrow in suspicion as he begins to take in the details of the scene around him. He notices that the massive, heavy bookshelves have been moved to form a protective barricade around the sleeping Elka. He sees that the thick blackout curtains have been drawn tightly over the windows to hide the light from the rampaging spirits outside. He spots a complex magic circle drawn on the floor in front of the barricaded door, a clear sign of a protective ward. He reads a message written on a chalkboard, a series of detailed instructions for Elka on how to stay safe until morning. From a high angle, the scene shows the sleeping Elka, completely safe and sound within the carefully constructed fortress. Ziggs looks down at the bloodstains on our boy's shirt and realizes with a jolt that the blood is not Elka's. A trail of blood leads from the brightly lit doorway into the dark and chaotic reading room. A grand marble statue of a woman cradling a fallen man is shown, a poignant parallel to our boy, who sits injured and exhausted beneath it. A close-up of Ed Rothstaler's bruised but calm face reveals the truth. He was the one who protected Elka at great cost to himself. Our boy looks up, a blank expression on his face as he laments the waste of his precious jerky. A flashback begins, the library shaking violently as books rain down from the shelves 3 hours earlier. Snow begins to fall outside the grand, arched window of the library, a sign of the unnatural chaos unfolding. Our boy is shown with the unconscious Elka slung over his shoulder, his own face bruised and bleeding as he assesses the situation. He looks out the window at the massive purple summoning circle, realizing that the final chapter of the game has begun far too early. He pulls the thick curtains closed, his expression grim as he resolves to stay out of the main plot. A close-up on his determined, blood-splattered face reveals his firm decision to avoid changing the future at all costs. He struggles to barricade the door with a heavy bookshelf, preparing to wait out the disaster with his own survival as his top priority. He pauses mid-effort, a sudden and crucial thought striking him with the force of a lightning bolt. Yennecar is shown in her element, surrounded by a host of powerful spirit companions, a testament to her high proficiency in the spiritual arts. Our boy is shown from behind, a lonely figure looking out a brightly lit doorway as the narration explains the near impossibility of raising spiritual stats without being able to see spirits. A horde of monstrous physical spirits are shown roaring and rampaging, a terrifying but unique opportunity. A glowing orb of green energy forms in our boy's hand as he realizes this is a golden chance to farm experience points. He leaps into battle with a determined grin, a swirling aura of green energy around him as he thanks Yennecar for the unexpected gift. A system window shows his skills increasing at an incredible rate, his spirit-type magic, leveling up far faster than he ever thought possible. Bruised and exhausted, he laments being just one level shy of his goal, the ability to form a contract with a spirit of his own. He watches as Ziggs carries the still sleeping Elka on his back and is asked what he was doing in the library. A close-up of Ziggs's annoyed, shadowed face shows him internally questioning our boy's motives. Our boy, looking battered and bruised, simply and honestly states that he was training. A silhouette of Ziggs reveals his utter disbelief at such a flimsy and unbelievable excuse. Ziggs's expression softens as he seems to finally understand the complex and contradictory nature of the boy before him. A close-up of our boy's eye shows a flicker of genuine surprise at Ziggs's sudden change in demeanor. With Elka still on his back, Ziggs looks down at our boy and admits that he now owes him a great and profound debt. He looks down at our boy with a newfound respect and solemnly promises to repay that debt as soon as he is able. Our boy holds the sleeping Elka, a quiet moment of reflection as he remembers the importance of her connection to Ziggs. A close-up on Ziggs's determined face emphasizes his crucial role as the protagonist's loyal and steadfast friend. Our boy's profile is shown as he correctly deduces that Ziggs must have abandoned the main group to come and rescue Elka. He turns his back on Ziggs, his voice firm and unwavering as he tells him to return to his duty and help the protagonist. A flashback shows the scene of our boy instructing Ziggs to go and help Taylor, setting the plot back in motion. He gently pats Ziggs's shoulder, reassuring him that Taylor will be far more useful in the coming battle than he might think. A vision of Taylor unleashing his powerful elemental slash against a demonic fire beast illustrates his hidden, game-changing potential. Ziggs thanks him for the advice and carries Elka away, leaving our boy to rest and recover from his own ordeal. Our boy sits exhausted on the ground, a small, glowing orb of light floating beside him, confident that his actions have saved the story. He recalls Ziggs's earlier confusion about Taylor, and a sudden, horrifying realization dawns on him. A flashback shows Ziggs's perplexed face as he admits that he has never even spoken to Taylor, a crucial deviation from the original plot. A title card appears for Act 1, Chapter 9, End of Semester Evaluation, the event that should have already happened. A flashback from the original game shows Ziggs helping the defeated Taylor to his feet, the pivotal moment where their friendship began. The massive purple summoning circle is shown again, a visual confirmation that the timeline has been irrevocably altered. A group shot of the main characters is shown as the narration confirms that Taylor and Ziggs are not yet friends, and Taylor has not learned his most powerful attack. A close-up of the demonic fire spirit to Khan's glowing eye emphasizes the now unbeatable threat they face. The image of the story shatters like broken glass as our boy finally understands the full, disastrous extent of the damage he has caused. The scene shifts to the temporary post in the student square, now a grim and bloody battlefield. Ziggs arrives, bowing his head in a formal apology for his tardiness and vowing to make up for it. The defeated and bloodied main characters are shown, their first attempt to infiltrate the student halls, a complete and utter failure. The injured Imperial Guard captain, Claire, suggests they recruit more volunteers for their next desperate attempt. Princess Pania's blood-stained face is shown as Claire begs her to reconsider sending more students to their certain deaths. The injured forms of Claire and Clevius are shown, two of their most powerful fighters now completely out of commission. A single tear rolls down Pania's cheek as she struggles with the impossible life or death decision before her. Our boy's back is shown as his voice cuts through the despair, taking charge of the hopeless situation. Princess Pania's eyes widen in shock as he correctly assesses the rapidly progressing summoning circle and their dwindling time. He takes a determined step forward, announcing his plan to divide their forces, with him leading one of the teams. Our boy stands bruised and bloodied before the defeated students, his voice steady as he announces his plan to divide their forces. The injured main characters, including a blood-splattered Taylor and Princess Pania, stare at him in utter disbelief. The cowardly Clevius jumps forward, his face a mask of outrage as he demands to know if our boy thinks this is some kind of joke. Ziggs calmly places a hand on Clevius's shoulder, holding him back and telling him to let Ed Rothstaler speak. Our boy lays out the grim reality of their situation, explaining that they must get past two powerful spirits to reach the possessed Yennecar. He gestures to an image of the massive spirit dragon Takan, its hide cracking from a previous attack, but still impossibly strong. A simple diagram illustrates his plan. A small blue team will lure the beast away, allowing the larger red team to proceed to the main target. Lortel immediately objects, her face etched with fear and doubt as she argues against the risky strategy. Another diagram shows the terrifying consequence of failure. If the lure team is wiped out, the attack team will be caught between both high-level spirits. Our boy coolly dismisses her concerns, his gaze unwavering as he reminds her that their most important objective is to take down Yennecar. He and Ziggs stand side by side, the unspoken and dreadful question of who will be the bait hanging heavy in the air. A heavy, tense silence falls over the group, no one willing to volunteer for what is clearly a suicide mission. Against the backdrop of a purple twilight sky, Taylor's gloved hand slowly rises into the air. The protagonist bravely volunteers, but our boy immediately shuts him down, his voice firm as he orders him to put his hand down. Ed Rothstaler places a hand on Taylor's shoulder, a look of grim resolve on his face as he argues that he should be the one to lay his life on the line. His expression hardens, his eyes glowing with an intense light, as he clarifies that they are not choosing a sacrificial lamb. Clevius and Lortel look on in stunned silence as our boy volunteers the three of them to be the bait. The scene descends into chaos as Clevius begins to panic, and Lortel voices her strong and immediate refusal. He turns to Princess Pania, his expression calm and steady, as he confirms that his assessment of their situation is correct. Pania covers her face with her hand, a wave of exhaustion washing over her as she struggles with the impossible decision. She raises her head, her expression now one of regal authority as she prepares to give her official command. A shot of the main attack unit is shown. Princess Pania, Taylor, Ayla, Ziggs, and the alchemist Elvira. The three members of the bait team are shown, our boy, Lortel, and a terrified-looking Clevius. Princess Pania looks at the three of them, her expression a mixture of grim determination and genuine concern. The two teams split up, rushing off into the purple-tinged darkness to carry out their desperate high-stakes mission. Our boy, Lortel, and Clevius stand at the entrance of a long marble corridor, a small, growling spirit beast waiting for them at the far end. Lortel looks at him skeptically, her arms crossed as she questions how he plans to buy time against the massive fire lizard. He confidently tells them to follow his lead as the three of them charge down the corridor towards the beast. Our boy places a reassuring hand on the still panicking Clevius's shoulder, reminding him of his hidden strength. He gives Clevius a firm nod of encouragement, and Lortel's internal monologue questions his unwavering confidence. A small, knowing smile plays on our boy's lips, a silent promise that he has a surefire plan. The massive clawed foot of the spirit beast Takan stomps onto the polished marble floor. The great blue spirit dragon lets out a low growl, its muscular body completely blocking the path to the training hall. Clevius takes a deep breath, his internal monologue revealing that the princess's steadfast attitude has won him over. He finds a small, hesitant smile, taking comfort in the fact that he is not facing this terrifying beast alone. With a newfound sense of bravery, Clevius charges forward, his sword drawn and ready for battle. The massive spirit beast roars, and Clevius leaps towards it, ready to engage in a life-or-death battle. He suddenly panics, his face a mask of pure terror, as he realizes he has no idea how to actually lure the beast away. He looks back to find only the empty, ghost-like outlines of where our boy and Lortel were just a moment ago. He is left completely alone, standing frozen in terror before the massive, growling spirit beast. The beast looms over him, its eyes glowing with a menacing light as he realizes he has been abandoned. Takan lets out a deafening roar, and Clevius turns and runs for his life, screaming in pure, unadulterated terror. From a safe distance outside, Lortel watches as Clevius leads the enraged beast on a wild chase, his angry shouts echoing in the night. She lets out a quiet sigh of relief, the first crucial part of their plan having succeeded perfectly. Our boy watches the chaos unfold from the other side of the corridor, a look of grim satisfaction on his face. Lortel looks at him with a sly, questioning smile, asking if he had planned to sacrifice Clevius all along. He calmly explains that Clevius is far more durable than he looks, as a flashback shows the cowardly student expertly dodging and weaving through Takon's attacks. A close-up of Lortel's face shows her listening intently, her expression serious, as our boy reveals that she has the most crucial role to play. She stands on the outer wall of the training hall, her body glowing with a faint magical aura, as he instructs her to forge a path for the other team. Lortel unleashes a massive wave of magic, a wall of glowing blue spell, circles appearing behind her as she prepares to attack. Our boy looks up at her, a confident smile on his face, as he tells her that she is good at this kind of destructive work. The wall rumbles and shakes as she unleashes a torrent of ice magic, shouting for him to just let her blow it all up. The entire wall explodes in a brilliant, chaotic shower of ice and debris. A massive chunk of the wall collapses to the ground with a thunderous, earth-shaking thud. Lortel stands amidst the rubble of her own making, a swirling vortex of dark energy revealing the clear path she has created. The main attack unit stands frozen in stunned silence, completely in awe of the sheer destructive power she has just displayed. She looks back at them with a smug, confident smile, telling them that it's their time to shine. A flashback shows her blowing up the roof during the combat training, a memory that now clicks into place for her. A sly smirk appears on her face as she realizes our boy had this planned all along, cleverly using her talents to their fullest potential. The main attack unit rushes through the newly created opening, their path to the final boss now completely clear. Lortel glances over her shoulder, her expression unreadable as she prepares for the next phase of the plan. A furious Clevius is shown being chased by Takon, his screams of rage echoing as the beast crashes through a window in hot pursuit. Lortel stands surrounded by a swirling blue aura, her expression grim as she realizes she and Clevius must now face Takon together. Clevius runs for his life, his face a mask of pure terror as he begs for help, the massive spirit beast looming behind him. Our boy appears, his face bruised, but his expression calm and determined, as he states that they cannot escape and must defeat Takon here and now. A flashback shows Yennekar's fire dragon easily overpowering Lortel's ice magic, a stark reminder of Takon's immense power. He holds up a small, rustling bag, a mysterious and unexpected solution to their seemingly impossible problem. Our boy rushes up a set of stairs, his movements swift and purposeful as he puts the final phase of his plan into motion. Lortel unleashes another massive wave of ice, creating a formidable barrier to slow the approaching beast. The massive ice wall cracks and splinters under the sheer force of Takon's relentless assault. Takon roars in triumph as it effortlessly shatters the ice barrier, its eyes glowing with a menacing light. Our boy leaps from a high balcony, his target clear in his mind as he hurtles towards the ground below. He lands gracefully, panting for breath as he states their true and only need: overwhelming firepower. He looks up to a high roof to find Lucy, still fast asleep with a snot bubble, completely oblivious to the chaos unfolding around her. Our boy stands over the still sleeping Lucy, a look of grim determination on his face as he prepares to wake her in the most abrupt way possible. A flashback shows Lucy in the crater of our boy's destroyed shelter, the catalyst for her finding this new, out-of-the-way napping spot. Another flashback shows the terrifying Belle Maya, explaining the in-game lore reason for Lucy's convenient and plot-saving nap. Lucy sleeps peacefully, a halo of a moon and stars above her head, a clear and deliberate plot device to keep her immense power out of the final boss fight. Her eyes snap open, her nose twitching as she is suddenly awakened by the irresistible and delicious smell of jerky. He holds out a bundle of his precious, high-quality jerky, the perfect bait for the always hungry mage. He shoves the entire bundle of jerky into her mouth, his voice firm as he tells her now is not the time to be picky. He picks up the still-chewing Lucy, her body like a rag doll in his arms, and prepares to throw her. He grits his teeth, drawing on his past military experience to muster the strength for an impossible, long-distance throw. He hurls her through the air with all his might, shouting for everyone below to get down as the human missile is launched. The airborne Lucy collides with Takon in a brilliant flash of light, her body a blur of motion. With her mouth still full of jerky, Lucy lets out a muffled but furious scream of pure, unadulterated rage. From his vantage point on the rooftop, our boy watches as his insane but brilliant plan unfolds perfectly. A massive bolt of purple lightning cracks from the sky, a reflexive and overwhelmingly powerful attack from the now fully awakened Lucy. The world is consumed by a blinding white light as the full, unrestrained force of her magic is unleashed upon the unsuspecting spirit beast. The resulting explosion sends our boy and Lortel flying, their screams lost in the deafening, earth-shattering roar. He clings desperately to the railing of the balcony, gritting his teeth against the force of the magical shockwave. A close-up of his eye reveals his unwavering focus. He knows that this is the most crucial moment of the entire battle. Takon's once impenetrable hide is shown cracking and crumbling under the sheer force of Lucy's high-level magic. With a determined grin, our boy prepares to leap into the fray, ready to steal the final kill and the massive experience points that come with it.